This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking December now. On a freaking Tuesday, I'm Justin FREAKIN. Welcome to the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I've got a hilarious video of the Arizona governor ignoring Trump's call. Not wanted posters of Ivanka have appeared all over New York City. We've got a couple pastors with some bonkers fucking videos we're going to play. One says you need to pray harder, and Trump will actually win the 2020 election that he's already lost. Plus, we're going to talk about all the DOJ investigations. A lot of news coming from the DOJ today. We're going to talk about the coronavirus stimulus bill. We got video of Mitch McConnell giving his thoughts. Stick around to the end. I've got a couple of videos. One video, one story. A couple of stories of pets being reunited with their owners. Heartwarming content. I always like to leave viewers of this stream on a high note. And of course, you can call in. Discord. Argue with FREAKIN. If you want to call in, 917-830-4359. The Discord link is down at the bottom or in the description of this video on whatever platform you're on. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on DLive, we're on Smashcast. Wow, that's a loaded question right there, Edward. Thank you for joining us. I would hope secularism continues to rise, but we're seeing a backslide right now. The whole QAnon Trump supporter movement is intertwined with Christianity and the last throes of the evangelical movement, I hope. You can never discount whatever nutty kind of shit people want to get into. Obviously, these statistics say that we continue to get less and less religious. But there's a whole segment of society that wants to be fed whatever comports to their beliefs. And whole industries have popped up. Grifters making a shit ton of money off of playing to these people. It's like I said, every QAnon supporter you find, you click on their profile on Parler, on Facebook, and you see that they are also religious. So I actually have a friend who is a pastor. I want to have him on the show sometime and talk about this very issue. Now, he's very progressive in his politics, but still, he's a pastor. He and I don't agree on a lot of things when it comes to religion, but we do agree in the political realm and helping people. He's a true Christian. Lives like Christ-like, not like the pastors we are going to play videos of. Like one is actually calling for the execution of atheists. So stick around for that. That's going to be great. But we're going to start off tonight by talking about some breaking news in just the last couple of hours. I mentioned the DOJ. Multiple things have come out from the DOJ today, but the biggest one here is it would seem that the DOJ is investigating a potential White House bribery for pardon scheme. This doesn't shock me in any way, shape, or form, especially because when I saw this story, I already had this story from earlier in the day on the docket for the show. That's the wrong one. Shit. Hold on. Rudy Giuliani discussed getting a preemptive pardon from Trump before the president leaves the White House, according to a report. The discussions detailed by the New York Times come as Giuliani leads a last-ditch effort by Trump's campaign to reverse President-elect Joe Biden's projected win in the Electoral College. Now, Giuliani has said that this is not true. But this doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. And it's also interesting that this story came out just hours after that report that the DOJ is investigating. Let's look at some of the details here. Federal investigators are looking into a potential bribery for pardon scheme involving presidential pardons, according to federal court documents unsealed by the chief judge for the federal court in Washington, D.C. The heavily... Now, that I hadn't read this story, so I didn't know that this is from unsealed court documents. When I saw the headline broke just like an hour ago. 5:59 p.m. on Central Time, so that was about an hour and some change ago. I didn't realize that this was from unsealed court documents. I figured this was a statement. Bill Barr made a lot of news today. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I thought this was another statement by Barr to possibly take some heat off of him. But this is interesting because if it's from unsealed court documents, that means they've been working on this case for a little bit. The heavily redacted documents revealed Tuesday do not name individuals involved or President Donald Trump. They also do not indicate if any White House officials had knowledge of the scheme. The opinion, entered by Chief Judge Beryl A. Howell on August 28th, is tied to an ongoing investigation that may involve at least two individuals who acted as lobbyists to senior White House officials without complying with the registration requirement of the Lobbying Disclosure Act to secure a pardon or reprieve of sentence. The investigation also involves an alleged offer by another individual to offer a substantial political contribution in exchange for a presidential pardon or reprieve of sentence. This political strategy to obtain a presidential pardon was parallel to and distinct from one individual's role as an attorney advocate for another individual, the ruling said, redacting both names. The White House has declined to comment. None of this surprises me, and as I've been saying on the show for weeks, Trump is going to pardon himself, or attempt to pardon himself. It's going to be interesting if he decides to try to pardon himself without stepping down, resigning, making Pence president, letting him do it. Then it's going to get challenged. We've never had this happen before. Whether a president can pardon himself would be a matter that would have to be taken up, probably go all the way to the Supreme Court. And clearly Trump has packed the Supreme Court in his favor. So what happens with that is anyone's guess. I mean, in olden times, before the courts had been packed by McConnell and Trump, I would have guessed that the court would laugh the idea that the president could pardon himself just out of the courtroom. Much like all the cases that Trump keeps bringing about election fraud that keep getting laughed out of the courtroom. However, now with Amy COVID Barrett, as some people have been calling her on Twitter, on the Supreme Court, because I would have guessed before Roberts would not rule in favor of a president being able to pardon himself. But now Roberts doesn't even really matter. Now, I would say the most likely scenario would be that the federal courts would rule no, and the Supreme Court would decline to take the case. Because I kind of don't see Trump resigning. Now, there has been talk of whether he could temporarily step down, like an emergency order, like Bush did for Cheney when Bush was under anesthesia. I could see that happening, possibly. So, it's going to be an interesting couple of months. Now, Barr made some other news today by issuing a statement. It says there is no evidence of fraud that would change election outcome. Now, there has been evidence of fraud. We've seen it. A couple of different cases of people trying to vote for Trump multiple times. We even played a video. Now, that was from the 2016 election. We played a video of a woman who said, yeah, I voted for Trump twice. So, Barr's comments in an interview with the Associated Press contradict the concerted effort by Trump, his boss, to subvert the results of last month's voting and block President-elect Joe Biden from taking his place in the White House. That's also a good question. Can he pardon himself if he's not under federal indictment? Can he just issue a blanket pardon? Now, there are several people on right-wing media that are calling for him to issue a blanket pardon. Now, he is an unindicted co-conspirator in the Michael Cohen case. So there could very well be a federal indictment sitting there waiting on him that will be unsealed. Yeah, they are incredibly stupid. I can't remember who it was now. I think Sean Hannity on his show was claiming that he needs to issue a blanket pardon for him and his entire family. Because let's face it, they're all knee-deep in scandal. And this... Man, some right-wing friend I had posted that Biden was the most corrupt politician in history. I'm like, have you seen Trump? What? I mean, Jesus Christ. But now, on the back of... Oh, before we do this, I do have the White House statement, or the Trump campaign statement, I should say, about Barr's comments on voter fraud. So, statement of Trump legal team on Bill Barr's comments on voter fraud. They don't even call him William Barr. What the fuck? And this is Rudy Giuliani, by the way, saying this. I already skipped down that. Yeah, this is from the mouth of Rudy Giuliani.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes, Rudy. With all due respect to the Attorney General, there hasn't been any semblance of a Department of Justice investigation. There hasn't been any semblance of evidence provided by the Trump campaign that there was fraud. God damn. You can't just investigate something if you don't, you're like, oh, we're just supposed to go and like investigate all the ballots because Trump is throwing a fucking hissy fit? Jesus. We have gathered ample evidence of illegal voting in at least 6 states. They have not. It's a complete and total lie. They have a bunch of affidavits. We watched the video last night of this woman who was a poll worker who said there was something fishy about the box that was brought in. That's the kind of evidence that he's talking about. We have many witnesses swearing under oath they saw crimes being committed in connection with voter fraud. That's weird that the legal team has not presented any evidence of such to the courts. As far as we know, not a single one has been interviewed by the DOJ. The Justice Department also hasn't audited any voting machines or used their subpoena powers to determine the truth. Nonetheless, we will continue our pursuit of the truth through the judicial system and state legislators. Now that's key there. They are really attempting to get state legislators in Michigan and Pennsylvania to disregard the election results and flip the electors for Trump. And like what they're calling for in Georgia, just to throw out votes in districts they don't like, is absurd. We read the judge's ruling. That's not a remedy you can ask for. That's not how the Constitution works, was his exact quote. Again, with the greatest respect to the Attorney General, his opinion appears to be without any knowledge or investigation of the substantial irregularities and evidence of systematic fraud. Rudy is a dumb fuck. But now, later in the day, after Barr issued his statement to the Associated Press, it turns out that he has named John Durham as a special counsel. This is to be able to continue this Russiagate investigation once the Biden administration takes office. An inquiry by U.S. Attorney John Durham into whether federal investigators who probe President Trump's 2016 campaign acted legally will be insulated from the next administration. This is just part of their concerted effort. They're trying to, in key roles within the government, they're trying to bury people into these roles that Biden won't be able to fire. It would seem that Democrats in the House are trying to compile lists of who these people are. I mean, like, it's astounding what they're trying to get away with. Attorney General William Barr told Congress on Tuesday, revealing that he named Durham as special counsel for the Trump-backed probe 2 months ago. As special counsel, Durham will report directly to the next Attorney General, who can only fire him with good cause, according to the Justice Department regulations. Robert Mueller earned the same protection during his Russian election interference probe, but now, I seem to recall Trump wanting to fire Mueller multiple times and said he had the power to. Barr chose to give Durham the special counsel designation in October. They knew Trump was going to lose, telling the Associated Press it would allow Durham's 18-month probe to continue regardless of the election outcome. But he informed members of the House and Senate Judiciary Committees that he held off on notifying them until after Election Day in the public interest. This is absurd. He has the power to look into Mueller's probe and Crossfire Hurricane, a separate 2016 FBI investigation into the Trump campaign, according to his notification to Congress. But Barr told the AP that Durham is focusing on Crossfire Hurricane. Now that's what they call Russiagate. Anytime you hear commentators on The Hill or Fox News talking about Russiagate, they're talking about illegally spying on the Trump campaign. Multiple investigations have found, no, they were not illegally spied on. Seems sketchy. I'm actually amazed that he didn't come out and say it before the election. Because you would have thought that would have helped Trump's chances. To try, because a lot of what they did in 2020 was try to recreate the conditions of 2016. And him coming out and saying that would have been a lot like the Comey letter. When Comey testified that Hillary was still under investigation because of emails they found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. But now we talked about the election fraud and how stupid these people are. A witness in Trump ally Sidney Powell's lawsuits says the voting results in Edison County indicate fraud. There is no, I guess this was in Michigan? Yeah, Michigan. There is no Edison County, Michigan. This is all a grift. A lawsuit in Michigan, pushed by allies of President Donald Trump, is seeking to fight what voters decided and declare him the winner of the state's electoral votes. To bolster its case, it included an affidavit from Navid Kashavarez. I'm so sorry I fucked your name up, dude. Kashavarez Nia, a cybersecurity expert who alleged that election data indicated widespread fraud. The affidavit said President-elect Joe Biden won more than 100% of the votes in a county that doesn't exist. And he also said he hadn't actually analyzed the voting machines used in the 2020 election. This is just absolute fodder for grifters to get on cable news and say bullshit, to keep giving the right-wing morons who are hanging on to this hope so that they'll keep giving the campaign money. Laura Trump, I believe, was on Fox News. This is Eric's wife, I think. I'm not exactly sure. This is Trump's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump.
Well, look, I still think that the president will get 4 more years in office. I think it'll be the next 4 years because this thing is far from over.
Wow, you just had certifications today in Arizona, in Georgia, in Wisconsin. You heard Geraldo moments ago say, you know, it's...
That's what, how many times has Joe Biden won this election? It's become a meme now. Every day we wake up, it's like, oh, Joe Biden won the election again. Jesus. Grifter's gonna grift indeed.
Time to accept the outcome of this. What are you seeing or hearing out there that he is not?
Well, those certifications are just procedural steps, and the reality is the Electoral College does not vote in their states until December 14th. Congress doesn't actually certify anything until the beginning of January, so we've got plenty of time.
No, you don't.
Well, look, I still...
These people do not know how this country works. Now, she mentioned the certification in Arizona. Interesting video from the certification in Arizona. This is the governor, Governor Ducey. In July, he said that he changed his ringtone on his phone to Held to the Chief to make sure that he doesn't miss a call from President Trump. Now, watch what happens. You're really not going to be able to hear it, unfortunately, because I had to play it a couple of times to even hear it. But watch him take out his cell phone here. That is Trump calling. Ignored the call and goes on to certify the election results for Joe Biden. Let's watch it one more time. This is cathartic. He did say we'd get sick of winning. I'm tired of it. I'm ready to move on. I am kind of sick of winning, to be honest with you. I'm ready to move on to actual pressing issues like getting something done about coronavirus. As if that's going to happen. But hey, we'll see what Mitch McConnell had to say here in just a little bit. I haven't watched the video yet. Maybe he's on board. I'm kind of doubting it. Now, this is Trump. He tells a crowd at a Phoenix hotel ballroom that he spent the day listening to... What? Oh, this is in the video. Okay. This is Trump calling... I don't know. This is Giuliani right here. I don't know where Giuliani was at today. President Trump phones into Arizona hearing on election fraud. Okay. So this is the clip from the hearing.
And on top of it, you have a governor named Ducey who just
I love this. Ducey is a Republican. Kemp in Georgia is a Republican. Trump is tearing the Republican Party apart. Remember when Lindsey Graham said in 2016, if we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it. We just had to be patient about it. They are indeed getting destroyed. Trump is tearing them apart.
He just rushed to sign certificates so that Kelly gets into the Senate as soon as possible. What's that all about? He didn't have to you have these incredible hearings going on that's showing such corruption and such horrible fraud. The people of Arizona.
Now, while I'm happy that it is tearing the electorate apart, like, these people are in another world. I argue with them every day on Facebook. I don't know where we go from here as a country. Because, like, this is Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's one of the many outlets that have popped up to try to capitalize on this nonsense, a fever dream. OAN, Newsmax. We played the video last night of OAN interviewing the guy that said he was on an Antifa conference call, and the CEO of Dominion was on that conference call and admitted to rigging the vote. That is one of the most preposterous things I have ever heard. Rudy did a presser in a hotel he rented. That sounds about right. No actual hearing. What's this woman's name? That's the that's like the lead attorney for the Trump team. Her name is escaping me right now. But she's a piece of work.
So you have to figure out what's that all about with Ducey. He couldn't go fast enough. And Arizona will not forget what Ducey just did. We're not going to forget the people of Arizona. We had some of the greatest rallies we've ever had. I left those rallies. A lot of you probably were there.
And oh my God, that's what they keep pointing to. You talk to right-wingers online and they're like, we had these gigantic rallies. Joe Biden had like 3 people in a basement. Like, there's a pandemic going on. You had these gigantic rallies. You probably killed several of your voters. Jesus Christ. And your rally is not, that's anecdotal evidence. It's not evidence of anything. Yes, it showed that there was some enthusiasm on your side. But I can't explain, like, people don't understand how hated Donald Trump is. So they point to the rallies. They're like, hey, we had these gigantic rallies. I'm like, yeah, he also never reached 50% in his favorability ratings the entire time he was in office. You don't understand exactly how hated he is because you're blinded. You've got Trump derangement syndrome. TDS is a real thing, and the right wing is ate up with it. Yeah. The dead people voting thing, that just cracks me up because I show people the videos. Like, this person isn't dead. People that didn't live in the district, I show them, hey, it was military families that Trump is challenging. What the hell is wrong with you? Of course they don't live in the district. They're stationed somewhere else. But they voted under their permanent address. God damn.
I said, there's no way we didn't lose the state. We won it by a lot. But I just want to thank everybody. I'm watching it, and a lot of people are watching it. And then on top of it, you having a governor.
Oh. Goddamn. Now, a scandal that has popped up here in recent days. Trump campaign lawyer suggested executing the ex-DHS staffer Chris Krebs. I believe that was the guy that said it was the most secure election in history and then got fired. And yet, look at this guy, Joseph Giovanni. DeGenova. Joseph DeGenova. Look at how fucking crazy this dude looks. Said Monday, Christopher Krebs, a former federal cybersecurity official fired for doubting President Trump's voter fraud myths, should be taken out and drawn and shot. Yeah, Trump hired a lot of these people that he is pissed at were his fucking appointments. It's because the only thing that matters to Trump is loyalty. And Ducey in Arizona, not loyal enough. Kemp in Georgia, not loyal enough. Fox News, not loyal enough to the president. Taken out and drawn and shot. So he was on Newsmax when he said this shit. I'm sure it plays incredibly well to the audience on Newsmax. The Genova called Krebs a moron. A moron. Dude, that's my line. Right-wingers are morons. Like the moron who got on fucking Newsmax and said that an official should be executed. The host chuckled at his call for violence and quickly changed the subject. Spent the rest of the interview offering up fact-free and thoroughly debunked theories about ballot dumps and vote rigging. And he said Republican-controlled state legislators should overturn President-elect Joe Biden's wins. They're going to go hard on this electors, the states dismissing the electors and naming new ones in favor of Trump. God, I hope it doesn't happen. I would hope if it did happen, that the people would be smart enough to rise up and revolt. Once again, and this is the most worrying thing, is how close we are to just a fascist dictator takeover of the country. If these people were competent, if this was the Bush administration trying to do this shit, it'd be over. This whole Trump experiment has done nothing but expose how weak our institutions are, how the presidency has way too much power. And I would hope that going forward, right-wingers, conservatives, that's something that we can agree on, find some common ground, and work to rein in the executive branch. It has way too much power. And unlike right-wingers, I will say that when there's a Democrat in office, I will say that when there's a Republican in office, because I'm consistent. Now, Krebs has suggested he's considering legal action in response to the threatening comments made on Monday by one of President Trump's lawyers. Responding to the threats, Krebs, who served as the head of cybersecurity and infrastructure, told the Today Show that he has an exceptional team of lawyers that will win in court. Well, I mean, it's not hard to win against a Trump lawyer.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
They're kind of incompetent. So I would hope you could win in court, Krebs. The way I look at it is that we are a nation of laws, and I plan to take advantage of those laws, hinting that his lawyers are probably going to be busy. He refused to comment on whether he's concerned about the threats when asked by host Savannah Guthrie, who noted that this isn't the first death threat Krebs has received, saying he doesn't want to give certain people the benefit of knowing how I'm reacting to this. And that's another thing. You'll constantly hear about the violent left. It's the right. It is right-wingers. I pointed out I had a guy on my page, a friend on Facebook, talking about how there needs to be a purge of leftists. About how we had to do something about the left problem. Or leftist problem. I can't remember how he said it. But I'm like, dude, you're talking like a fucking Nazi. And your justification for this is because you think I'm a Nazi. It's batshit crazy. It's like the dude that paid me $50 to watch his video last night. Said that the LGBT community We're trying to control him. I'm like, no, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Trying to control you? That doesn't make any sense. But you can justify any kind of atrocity when you believe that God is on your side. That goes back to the QAnon people being religious. There's a lot of overlap. The Venn diagram of evangelical atheists, of Q supporters who are evangelical atheists, it's like fucking a complete circle. I never get tired of playing dumb fuck pastors saying stupid shit.
Firing squad rule change fast-tracked.
Right. After the election.
Have I done that story yet? Oh, no, I haven't, have I? So, Trump is looking to because they reinstituted federal executions, but one of the things that has hampered their ability to be able to execute people is that a lot of drug manufacturers that make the lethal injection drugs have decided not to provide the government with these lethal injection drugs. So it's become hard for states and the federal government to obtain the drugs, which have been found to be torture. Several cases have pointed this out. It has been hard for them to obtain the drugs, so there have been a few executions by electric chair this year. But they're wanting to reinstitute the firing squad. But let's listen to what this pastor has to say about the firing squad. Because Christianity isn't about not judging people, turning the other cheek, yada, 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 forgiveness. No. It's about bloodlust, because they're certainly not a blood cult.
Firing squad rule change fast-tracked.
Right. After the election.
After a major shakeup at the Pentagon.
Right.
But it wasn't,
General Flynn pardoned today.
and it wasn't like this was put out there to make it look obvious. Like, hey, look what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
It was like
Buried.
buried.
On the day before Thanksgiving.
Ho, like, does this dude have a ponytail back there? Like, what's going on with his hair? Who parts their hair in the middle and then slicks it back like that? Like, what?
It was like
As if I have any room to comment on anybody else's looks. I mean, shit, look at me.
buried.
On the day before Thanksgiving, when nobody's even paying attention to news except people like
Aw, thank you. I
So,
don't have much of it, to be honest with you. People pop into the stream and say, like, oh, you're covering your bald spot with a bandana. Yes, I am. I actually started wearing a bandana when I was shooting in college, doing videography, because it kept the sweat out of my face and it kept my hair out of my face. And then when I started doing stand-up, I sweat profusely on stage, so I started wearing the bandana. And I've just kind of adopted the look since then. Because it used to be the only time I would wear the bandana But as I've lost more and more of my hair, like, all right, we're good. I've got the Hulk Hogan thing going on, brother.
why this change, Rick? Why would they fast track this?
I'm not trying to be funny about it, but because they plan to shoot some people.
That would be the only explanation.
They're going to have a bunch of traitors. They're going to line them up against the wall and start shooting them. Because that's what they deserve.
That's what the law is.
The Democrats, the news media, if the leftists...
Oh, that's who the traitors are. The Democrats, the news media, the leftists. These people are violent. And boy, do they love to project. They think I'm violent just because I call them morons on the internet.
If scientists
Scientists!
have been working secretly with the Chinese Communist Party, then line them up against the wall and shoot them. That's what you do with them.
How Christian of this motherfucker? I don't know about you guys, but that phone number's right there. You want to call it? 576 2116. Let's see what we got here.
This call may be recorded for quality and training purposes.
Thank you for calling. All representatives are currently engaged on other calls at this time. If you would like to leave your telephone number so that a representative may return your call, please press 1. Otherwise, remain on the line.
Yeah, I'm going to leave a number.
Using the keys on your touch-tone telephone, please enter the phone number beginning with the area code where you would like to be reached.
917-830-4359.
Please confirm that the number we are to reach you at is 1-917-830-4359. By pressing 1 now. If this number is incorrect, please press thank you. We will return your call shortly.
Yay! Representatives. Sounds like they're trying to take some money. Well, I mean, it does say partner with us. Support True News. I thought I was calling some sort of religious organization that would want to pray with me or some shit. Speaking of praying, did you guys know if you pray harder, we might get a second Trump administration? Hey, Gordon, what's going on? Big fan of Gordon Ramsay.
Question, is Trump going to win? I think that as...
No! Trump already lost. Trump lost, you dumb motherfucker.
We pray, something happens. God responds. And when I ask the Lord, what should we do? Should we stop praying? Should we accept our defeat and move on to the next thing?
Now I want to tell you, as he's doing this video on YouTube, if I have to, I'll bring up the verse from the Bible. But I'm pretty sure it's in red letters. Jesus said, as if Jesus was a real person, but in the Bible, in the story, Jesus said, when you pray, do it in private. Be not like the hypocrites who like to pray and proclaim on the street corner. I know that I just fucked it up, but it's something like that. Don't be like the hypocrites and get on YouTube and talk about praying. It's almost like these motherfuckers have never read the fucking Bible.
He says absolutely not. Opposite. Pray, pray, pray. Pray without ceasing. Believe, have faith, trust. So that's what I'm getting from God. And so that gives me encouragement in my spirit, because if the Lord is saying that, that means it's not...
Kind of makes you think that it's not God saying this shit. It's just a little ironic that God's opinion matches up with your political opinion, right, dude? Jesus.
Done. You see, you understand me, saints? That means it's not done, because if it were done, then I think God would be telling me, you know what, just move on, or move on to the next thing. You've entered into a new season.
Also, he is clearly driving in movement in his car. This is a hallmark of the derpy derps. Pastor Todd Coconato. Coconato is a cool name.
Season, and everybody needs to be prepared for the persecution. Now, does that mean there won't be tough times ahead? No. Does that mean there won't be persecution? No. But what it means is simply this: he has not told me to stop praying. And
by persecution, he means people like me calling him a dumb fuck on Facebook and Twitter. Not necessarily me on Twitter, because they won't let me on Twitter. Had a dude the other day who was like, you're just angling for a blue check mark. I'm like, dude, they don't even let me on Twitter. I don't know what just happened in my bedroom, but one of the cats ran out. What'd you do, dude? Crazy shit going on in there.
Because of that,
maybe God tried to strike me down, but he missed. He was in there in the bedroom instead of getting me here on the computer. There's some kind of flashlight, wasn't there? Did you do it? He says he doesn't know what's going on. Maybe I should pray to God and find out. He's got catnip down there in the floor and he's rolling all in it. That is Socrates. I know Smokey is the star of this show. Because Sox doesn't get up on the desk because he's too fat to hop up here. One day I actually saw him try to hop up on the desk and he couldn't make it, and I felt so sorry for him, so I put him up here. He grabbed one of my hair ties and just fucking ran. It's like his favorite toy.
I believe that he's moving on our behalf in some way, shape, or form, and I believe that this is a war that we're going to have to pray this through until the very end here. But I do believe we're going to see God move on our behalf, and I think it's going to be such a miracle and sign and wonder. Now get this, because this is important. I believe it's going to be...
Are you guys listening? Because this is important. Right.
Such a miracle, sign, and wonder as this takes place that the people, that even the godless, even the atheists are going to look and say, wow, look at the God that they serve. Look at the God that they serve, because people are going to say it was impossible. They're going to say there was no way. They're going to say, absolutely not. It'll never happen. And
I am telling you right now on this video that is up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the different platforms we are on. I am telling you what you are saying is batshit crazy. It's never going to happen no matter how hard you pray. And you, my friend, are a fucking moron.
And then what God does when he moves, they're going to see and look and say, wow. And I believe it's going to bring people to salvation.
I will tell you, Todd Coconato, if Trump is still president on January the 21st, somehow massive fraud is uncovered and the election is overturned, I'll do it. I'll give my life over to God. I will agree. I will convert. You've got it, dude. You're on. A fucking men. One of the reasons why I don't... I lost a lot of my Facebook following a few years ago was because back in... God, it would have been like 2012, 2013. I was trying to convince my girlfriend one time that she went out to the bar and partied, and when she came back, some weird shit had happened, coincidences, and I was like, the universe is speaking to me. It's a God, blah, 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 blah. And I tried to convince her that I'd turned to Jesus, and I posted on Facebook that I'd given my life over to the Lord. Like I'm an eloquent writer, speaker when I want to be, when I'm not calling people dumb fucks. Really long post about how, I'd been wrong for mocking religious people, yada, yada, yada. I didn't think anybody would actually believe me, but a bunch of people did. And I ran with it. I spent weeks. I started doing these posts about my life as a Christian. It's now I hate gay people. really, really mocking it. And eventually people picked up on it. Ivanka Trump not wanted posters have appeared across New York City. Now, people have been trolling her for quite some time. Let's take a look at these pictures. Can we get a close up here? Not wanted in New York City. Accent fake posh. Eyes, dead behind. Hair, blonde. Married to Slender Man. Yes. But they've taken out ads about Ivanka. Oh yeah, the Good Liars on Twitter. I like them. I like them an awful lot. Highly recommend following them. We actually played one of their... The video of the woman that said she voted for Trump twice. That was them. They were interviewing her. Got her to admit to election fraud. A former friend of Ivanka's anonymously told Vanity Fair that Miss Trump would face being shunned by Manhattan's social elite if she tried to return to the city. I honestly don't think... I don't think they're going to try to go back to their life in New York. If Trump stays in the U.S., I think he stays in Florida at Mar-a-Lago. Everyone with self-respect, a career, morals, respect for democracy, or who doesn't want their friends to shame them both in private and in public will steer clear. Probably best. All right, so pivoting over to the COVID. Study suggests that COVID-19 was in the U.S. weeks earlier than thought, before first public cases in China. Now, this is as I've gone over on the show before. I knew something was up in China around Halloween, the beginning of November, because there were reports coming out that something was going on and that the government was being secretive. I totally believe that the COVID was in the U.S. before we knew. Researchers, including scientists from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the American Red Cross, have found evidence that COVID-19 was present in the U.S. in December 2019, weeks earlier than previously thought, and before even the first cases in Wuhan, China, had been publicly identified. But I mean, I can imagine it's hard to really understand what you're dealing with when it comes to an outbreak of a novel virus that's never existed before. And that it is also very similar to the flu. Blood samples from between December 2019 and January 2020 for COVID-19 antibodies were published in the Journal of Clinical Infectious Diseases, indicated the presence of COVID-19 in several U.S. states earlier than previously recognized. Researchers found positive test results indicating prior exposure to the virus responsible for COVID-19 in samples from California, Oregon, and Washington in mid-December. Samples from Connecticut, Iowa, Massachusetts, Michigan, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin were also found to test positive for COVID-19 in January, before COVID-19 was believed to be present. Now, the California, Oregon, Washington, that makes total sense because that maps with where the first cases we found were. I've seen plenty of people on Facebook posts being like, my husband had something, blah, 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 in November. He had the COVID. No, he didn't. Because we see how fast it spreads once it gets into a jurisdiction. The study's authors say they will continue to work with the U.S. government and non-government partners to use blood samples to analyze the pandemic, adding that an understanding of how the pandemic progressed from its early stages to the global crisis seen today will help public health officials better allocate resources to prevent illness and death. Another study, which this is going to come as no shock to anyone, found that more COVID-19 cases were among viewers of Fox News hosts who downplayed the pandemic. Because, duh. I like that they use a picture of Sean Hannity because he's probably the worst offender. An April study about the effects of coronavirus media coverage analyzed 2 popular Fox News cable programs and claims how one host talked about the threat of the coronavirus resulted in greater numbers of COVID-19 cases and deaths. Fucking Fox News has blood on its hands. So let's look at the way that Fox News was talking about the COVID back in April, shall we?
For the media to spin a narrative that this sell-off and this virus are all a result of President Trump, it's just wrong. But unfortunately, I guess they needed someone to blame. They were looking for someone to blame.
She's got some awesome hair. I wish I had her hairline.
Anything they can.
On the left, you've heard...
I haven't had bangs in 6 years.
...that you might use the wrong word to describe what's happening to the country. It's racist, they're telling you, to blame the most racist nation in the world for the spread of this virus. Right.
Look, bad things happen. And this virus is...
Is China the most racist nation in the world? I kind of dispute that claim. God damn.
One of them. But setting off panic around the world is not the answer. We need to calm everything down, propose smart legislation will help do that.
I'm sure in the end, the mob and the media, well, they will be advancing their new conspiracy theory and their newest hoax. Probably they'll come up with, hypothetically, I'm just guessing, wouldn't shock me, President Trump, Putin, mad scientists in Russia, Ukraine are manufacturing the coronavirus on purpose so they can hurt innocent children and kill grandma and grandpa before they throw them over a cliff, before they feed them dog food.
Hate is boiling over, many in the liberal media using, and I mean using, coronavirus in an attempt to demonize and destroy the president. This is impeachment all over again.
People you trust, people you probably voted for, have spent weeks minimizing what is clearly a very serious problem. It's just partisan politics, they say. Calm down. In the end, this is just like the flu, and people die from that every year. Coronavirus will pass, and when it does, we will feel foolish for worrying about it. That's their position. But they're wrong. The Chinese coronavirus is a major event. It will affect your life. And by the way, it's definitely not just the flu.
Well, good on you, Tucker. At least you had some sense about you. Now, Anthony Fauci has come out and said that Christmas and New Year's restrictions will be necessary due to a holiday coronavirus wave. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, said on Sunday that the U.S. is heading into a difficult period of the coronavirus pandemic. Nah, shit. That is an understatement. He said current restrictions and travel advisories will be necessary. He said current restrictions and travel advisories will be necessary for the Christmas holiday season. I would think we need stricter restrictions. While the CDC warned people against traveling for Thanksgiving, more than 9 million people traveled in airports running up to and after the holiday. Fauci said Americans should take their own virus mitigation steps in order to help overwhelmed hospital systems. The hospital system next to me, out of beds. They announced that today. Hospitals in Tennessee are screaming at the top of their lungs that they're running out of resources. What we expect, unfortunately, as we go for the next couple of weeks into December, is that we might see a surge superimposed on the surge we are already in. I don't want to frighten people except to say that it's not too late to do something about this. I mean, we need action from the federal government because, and it's not going to happen. As I said, we'll listen to Mitch McConnell here in a second. Maybe he's changed his tune. I'm doubting it. But I mean, voters in Ohio are wanting to impeach the Republican governor, Mike DeWine, over the fact that he has instituted restrictions to prevent the spread of this fucking virus. Saying he violated state and federal laws by mandating the wearing of masks and ordering businesses to close to slow the spread of COVID-19. Now, this is tough because without the federal government providing aid to people, I don't know what the answer is, because people have to make a living. People have to pay their fucking bills. So a state closing down businesses without the federal government stepping in to provide the help to keep them solvent is a major issue. And you see a lot of right-wingers post about mental health, suicides, drug addiction and shit during the pandemic. Yeah, I understand completely. People can't pay their fucking bills. They have to deal with these restrictions. It's all because the federal government has no leadership. I fucking hated Hillary Clinton, but goddamn, a Clinton administration would have handled this pandemic far, far better than the Trump administration. Hands down, without question. I'm no fan of Joe Biden. Fuck Joe Biden. But he's still a million times better than Donald Trump. That's how fucking shitty Trump is. Now, the Gang of Eight, or whatever the hell they call themselves, the bipartisan caucus in the Senate, has proposed a new $908 billion stimulus. An attempt to resuscitate failed coronavirus aid talks in Washington. Now, we have 10 days. We're on the verge of a government shutdown. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. 10 days, and because there's no federal leadership, it almost certainly is going to happen. We're going to have a government shutdown. So if they do not pass something like this week, Monday at the latest, it ain't happening. And there's going to be a lot of people with some shitty Christmases. And that's another thing is I'm amazed. I'm amazed that the business owners that run this country haven't been pushing harder for coronavirus relief, knowing what we know about how the $600 plus up and the $1,200 checks in the spring actually helped keep the economy solvent. So it's blowing my mind that before Christmas, that the corporations that run this country don't want to get money into the hands of consumers before Christmas. They might. It could just be that the federal government is in such disarray. And McConnell, I don't even know what's going through McConnell's head. McConnell's biggest contributor, though, is an insurance company. And if I had to guess, insurance companies are making money hand over fist through the pandemic. In 2-3-fold. For people going to the hospital, for covering coronavirus tests. They're billing the federal government. They're billing you. So if I had to guess, that would be Mitch McConnell's end game on this, is that the insurance companies don't want him to pass relief. Let people get the COVID. I can't remember what the name of the insurance company. It's headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky. Aetna. It's one of the major 3 or 4 insurance companies. But that is Mitch McConnell's biggest donor. But the effort won't make it far without buy-in from the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who wants a broad multi-trillion-dollar package, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who wants a narrowly targeted $500 billion bill. Government handouts to businesses is what he wants. And protections. That was one of the things that was in the Senate bill. They wanted to shield employers that make people go to work during a pandemic from being able to be sued when their employees come down with it. The lawmakers involved include Joe Manchin, Senator Mitt Romney, Senator Rob Portman, Senator Mark Warner, among others. Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. I called it the Gang of 8. That must have been what they used to call themselves or whatever the fuck. Right now, the plan, which is not finalized and could change, includes $300 weekly enhanced federal unemployment benefits for 4 more months, $160 billion in state and local aid, and liability protections for businesses. But it will likely exclude a second round of stimulus checks, which is what is most needed right now, is just direct payments to people. Yes, the $300 weekly enhanced federal unemployment would be nice. But I mean, you're talking about you have to go back. If you were on unemployment in the spring, per se, and your benefits have already run out, you would have to reapply. That process takes 3, 4, 5 weeks if there's no hang-up. So it would be after the first of the year. If they were to pass it by Monday, people wouldn't even see the benefits of it until the second week of January at the soonest. So that second round of stimulus checks, that's like the most important thing. But let's see what Mitch McConnell has to say about this proposal. Maybe the Grinch has grown a heart. I doubt it.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just had a lunch meeting by conference call this time, aware of the growing concern about the rise of coronavirus, and we adjusted our meeting to reflect our concern about it being extra safe.
This is probably the most hated man in America. I don't know how he keeps getting reelected.
The subject of additional coronavirus relief is on the minds of lots of our members. You've already spoken to probably Senator Collins, Senator Romney, and others who've been meeting with Democrats about a possible way forward. We received a proposal through a letter from Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer last night. Let me tell you where I think we are.
Tell us, Mitch.
McCarthy and I have been in discussions with the Secretary of the Treasury and the President's Chief of Staff to try to ascertain what the President would actually sign into law. And I think we have a sense of what that is. I laid that out in the call that we had just a little while ago.
So he's scapegoating Trump on this.
That out to all the offices and get some feedback to see how our members react to a proposal that we can say for sure would be signed into law.
Because Trump was wanting a bigger stimulus than what the Senate and the Democrats even were asking for before the election. Now I'm sure that was just a campaign maneuver. I doubt Trump actually cares now. But Trump was wanting a big stimulus before the election. So McConnell is 100% scapegoating Trump on this.
I think the one thing we all agree on is that we don't have time for messaging games. We don't have time for lengthy negotiations. The issue is, do we want to get a result? And I like to remind everybody that the way you get a result is you have to have a presidential signature. So I felt the first thing we needed to do is to find out what the president would in fact sign. We believe we've got the answer to that. We're vetting that on our side, and then we'll let you know later whether we think there's any way forward. But certainly we know we can say, I hope, that this is something that would be signed into law by the president, be done quickly, deal with the things that we can agree on now. And I think we all know that after the first of the year, there's likely to be a discussion about some additional package of some size next year, depending upon what the new administration wants to pursue.
People are going to be kicked out of their house in December. You gigantic piece of shit.
We have to wrap up a lot.
Now, I will say it is comforting that McConnell seems to want to pass something. Because we watched the video last night from in July, and he's like, we have done enough on coronavirus. So he's changed his tune somewhat. Let's see. Megyn Kelly was on with Glenn Beck the other day. This was posted 2 days ago.
Did we play?
Now, Glenn Beck has really got this hipster look going about him. I don't know what's going on with him.
In this division, do you think? No, I hate to
I don't
put you in the collective we here, but people like me. I mean, when I was at Fox, I spoke my mind. I said the things that...
You, 100%. It's on you. People like you created this division in this country. By spoon speeding people absolute bullshit on Fox News. And yes, I know I said that wrong. It's a running joke on the show. Hashtag Foonsped.
I said at Fox, I think President Obama is racist. No, wait, that's not quite right. He just seems to have some
a deep-seated hatred for white people.
Culture. Well, what I was feeling, and I just realized this in the last year, what I was feeling that I didn't understand.
No, he's talking about his fifis. What he's feeling. There's always, the facts don't care about your feelings, people, right? It's your feelings that Obama is racist towards you.
Was critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
So, did we play a role in this, or were we exposing the truth?
I don't see it quite like that.
What truth?
I mean, I'm proud of the work I did at Fox News, and I also think in general the Fox.
Now, Megyn Kelly tried to pivot after 2016 to go to NBC and be more centrist, moderate, and they rejected her. So now you're seeing the pivot back towards right-wing grifter. So please, do tell us about how proud you are of what you did on Fox, Megyn Kelly.
Fox News mission is a good one, to give voice to the voiceless, which is half the country, to remind people that
these people never shut up. They are holding rallies across the country. Cope cringe, where they're trying to cope with the fact that Donald Trump lost. They don't fucking believe it. These are the same people that were cheering at the Rudy Giuliani press conference we played earlier. Never shut the fuck up. They're all over Parler. Glenn Beck never shuts the fuck up. Give a voice to the voiceless. My God.
They are not alone. That 71 million people in this country feel
they are alone.
74 million voted for Biden. 71.
I constantly get told that I live in my parents' basement by people who are probably fucking 50, 60 years old, all alone because their families left them because they're nut jobs that they've been listening to Fox News for 20 years. It's insane. People eating fucking ravioli out of a can telling me I'm living in a basement. Right-wingers are fucking morons.
$1 million voted for Trump. You're not alone no matter what the media tells you or Hollywood tells you or big tech or corporate America. But listen, I'm not going to say that everyone's perfect.
These are also the same people that are talking about the victim mentality on the left. No. Victim mentality is on the right side of the spectrum. Listen to the way they talk. Everybody's out to get them. There's a deep state. The CIA is fucking rigging elections along with the Republican governor of Georgia. Nicolas Maduro and shit. Rigged the election against Trump. The media's out to get them. These people wouldn't have a personality if it wasn't for the victim mentality that they're always espousing. They're a victim because Obama was president. That's literally what these two are talking about right now.
You go on TV, and the nature of cable is a little freewheeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say things that aren't perfectly well phrased.
Yeah.
And the beauty is you can go on and clarify or apologize if you feel you need to. And that's all appropriate. What's not appropriate is trying to ruin someone
Correct.
for having one of those moments. That's what the other side does.
Correct.
The quote left, capital left, the established media that want to make themselves feel better as though they've never made and never will make a mistake. And I think the average...
I'm not trying to ruin you. I'm trying to point out your fucking hypocrisy. I'm trying to point out your bullshit. And I gotta put on my fucking snow boots to wade through all the goddamn bullshit you guys espouse.
People, sitting out there watching this are disgusted by them. But it's become...
Disgusted by you.
They sit at home thinking, am I crazy? Am I? Maybe I am
Right.
the one. Maybe every thought I have is awful. That's what they're telling me.
Correct.
That's why the Fox News mission is a valid one, if very imperfectly executed. Our mission right now in this digital world is also the same.
Let me just throw in on the Fox News mission. I've always believed that, and I know that was, the understanding when they were built. I don't think that's the understanding. You can't have Neil Cavuto last night or...
No, the understanding when they were built was fucking Roger Ailes, who was a political operative for the Republican Party, going all the way back to Nixon, who loved to sling mud and do yellow journalism. They wanted to create an entity that was a propaganda arm of the Republican Party. That was their mission. To try to demonize the other side.
A couple of nights ago say, let's stop taking the White House press person because that's dangerous stuff. We don't want to listen to that. If I went and said, okay, well, I do want to listen to that. I want to judge for myself. I don't even know.
Go to the White House website. Go to Donald Trump on YouTube. They're broadcasting it. Fox News actually has a shred of journalistic integrity, at least during the daytime. They were right to cut away from Kelly McEnany, isn't she like 20-something years old? Completely unqualified, doesn't know what the fuck she's doing? Is both a campaign advisor and the press secretary. And you never know when she's on fucking TV which hat she's wearing. I didn't think this video was going to get me riled up like that.
Where I would go to get it, but I know that if I got it and reposted it, I'd be demonetized or I'd be throttled by one of the social medias. Mm-hmm. What happened to this?
You run a website! You run a website! You have no right to be on Parler, Facebook, YouTube. There is not a right to be hosted on a platform. It's not censorship, you dumb motherfucker. Glenn Beck's smart enough to know this, but he's also a grifter. God, I can't believe Samantha Bee had him on. I lost so much respect for her. I've always really enjoyed her work. Had him on. Talking about how we have to heal the divide and blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. And he's back to doing the same fucking thing because he couldn't make money off of the MSNBC types. The Lincoln Project sure as shit did, though.
This idea that there is no church, there is no Catholic Church saying, no, the world is flat.
Right.
Where's the other side? We can't express it now.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I tweeted out about this. I thought that was wrong. And I thought it was wrong when the network news anchors interrupted Trump. You want to fact check the president? Great. That's what a journalist should do. I have no problem with that. You wait until he's offered whatever statement it is he has to offer.
Correct.
You're not,
Why?
You're not the papa. You're not the daddy of the viewer, right? You're the news anchor. You don't get to interfere.
No. They are the platform that is hosting the content. That is absolutely their job. Jesus.
Here in that relationship between the president and the people. And if we want to open that door, Glenn, where's that going to end? I tweeted out, can you imagine if we had done this when we knew?
By the way, that's a slippery slope argument. A lot of people use the fallacy wrong. If someone says, well, where will it end? They are almost certainly committing a slippery slope argument. Well, if we fact check the president during his press conference, where does this end? We're going to be censoring everybody. That's a slippery slope fallacy.
Knew it was untrue that if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Do you have any idea how many times I could have interrupted Barack Obama?
Me too.
I could have pulled him off the air so many times to say, that's not true. And guess what?
They did.
That's really dangerous.
Right.
Because Kayleigh McEnany, worst case scenario, is undermining your faith in the electoral process. Barack Obama is going to take away your health plan and your doctor and actually put lives at risk with that lie, which at the time,
oh my God,
was untrue. We just didn't know if he knew it was untrue, so I never called it a lie. And then the reporting came out. He knew it was untrue.
He knew it was
and
true.
That's what leads me to say it was a lie. And he knew it was a lie when he did it. And we let him tell it. And then we fact.
Wow. These people are up their own asses so far. I don't even want to get into the whole keep your doctor argument shit. The plan was a giveaway to insurance companies, period. It was a Republican plan. Goddamn. On to something else that I'm going to get incredibly mad about. A former U.S. drone operator recalls dropping a missile on Afghanistan children, and says the U.S. military is worse than the Nazis. I've been saying that for years.
Guy bleed out.
Looks like he was on Democracy Now! Fantastic network.
I watched this guy bleed out, the guy in the back, and his right leg above the knee was severed in the strike, and he bled out through his femoral artery, and
you saw that on your computer screen.
Right.
It's that detailed.
Yeah, it's pixelated, but I mean, you could see that it was a human being. The United States hasn't really done a good job of humanizing the people that do it, and everyone else thinks that the whole program.
Well, that's the whole reason for the drone program. Is it makes it a hell of a lot easier to kill civilians. That's the legacy of Obama. Believe me, people are like, They love to bring up Obama and throw him at my face. Like, dude, I called him President Deporting McDrone Strike the entire fucking administration. I criticized Obama constantly. You're in a cult. And you worship a fucking orange god.
This government hasn't really done a good job of humanizing the people that do it, and everyone else thinks that the whole program or the people behind it.
And that's a lot of the criticism going into the Biden administration. This is going to be a more humane face to imperialism. I agree with my lefty friends about that. Yes, still a million times better than Donald Trump. And Biden will be a better opponent for us as leftists to take on. And he's kind of weak. I think we can primary him or Kamala. Whoever's running in 2024, I think we can win. Especially if we start now building the ground game. Getting people elected to Congress in 2022. Let the liberals go back to brunch. You guys that are watching me right now, get upset and keep on keeping on with the work that we've been doing. Let them go back to brunch and we'll fucking beat them. If you're watching this, have you thought about running for office? Because you should. Don't ever tell yourself you're not qualified, because there's so many dumb fucks in every level of our government. Go for it.
Are video game warriors that were Nintendo warriors, and that's really not the case. And the people that do the job are just as legit and just as,
I think you, not with that attitude, winch,
combat oriented as anyone else.
Because we have to do something. Because yes, I'm worried about what it means for our foreign policy to have Biden, who was a war hawk his entire time in the Senate. I'd vote for Winch, hands down. I think most comedians are leftists, because right-wingers sure as shit aren't funny. Exclusive content reserved for our subscribers. Motherfuck. We're behind a paywall here. We'll have to do that story tomorrow. Alright, so this one's a little bit local to me. If you've ever been around the Nashville area, Nashville, gorgeous city, love to see concerts there, then you might have seen a hilarious statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest. Nathan Bedford Forrest is the founder of the KKK. His bust sits in the Capitol in Tennessee. But if you're driving north on 65 going into Nashville, there is a hilarious statue. Like, it's comical how shitty the statue looks. Unfortunately, the dude that owns the property where the statue sits has passed away, but it gives me an opportunity to be able to talk about this hilarious looking fucking statue. So let's hear the story.
Well, Bill Doris lived in the mid-state, and an employee at a business he used to own confirmed his passing to me earlier this morning, though they didn't know the exact cause of death. Now, Doris owned the private land where a statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest, a Confederate general in...
Look at, now that somebody threw red paint on it, but look at how fucking stupid it looks. I hope they show a close-up of his face, because it's looks like it's from a comic book or some shit.
Early leader of the Ku Klux Klan can be seen clearly from the interstate. It's been vandalized several times over the years, pink paint thrown on it in 2017, and the words monster painted on it just last month. Doris never had any of it cleaned off. Previous council previous Metro Council members, even passed a resolution to block the I-65 view of this statue with shrubbery, but the Tennessee Department of Transportation didn't approve it. Community advocate Davey Tucker Jr. acknowledges that you can do whatever you want to on your own private property, but he also says these Confederate monuments represent a failure to reckon with the South's history of violence and racial inequality.
Seriously?
A certain part of our population feels that it's their right to continue to display them prominently in places where
that statue has been the topic of conversation in this area for a very long time.
I think that it's hard to separate ourselves from that attempt at continued intimidation.
This isn't the only contentious fixture of Nathan Bedford Forrest in the Mid-State. Efforts to remove a bust of him from the state capitol have been going on for decades, and there's currently a motion before the State Historical Commission to remove it. They're going to be voting on that in 2021. Now, we're going to continue digging deeper into the future of this land and the future of that.
So yeah, I just wanted to show that statue because it's so fucking comical. I wonder what the guy actually thought about this statue, seeing as he didn't have the paint cleaned off. It was always satire to me. Every time you drive by, it's like, look at that stupid looking statue. Alright, let's end on a high note. A couple of fun animal stories, because I'm a huge animal lover. Stolen Pity, found 2,000 miles away, returns home for Christmas with the help of 15 volunteers. Look at how adorable. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. I thought this was from last year. I saw this story before, December 24th, 2019. I guess the article was published again a couple days ago because it's good clickbait. Look at that face! Oh my god! So fucking cute. So 15 volunteers took him across the country. Stolen in October and came back home only in December of 2019. The doggo's owner used FaceTime to confirm that it was her good boy who was found 2,000 miles away. Aw, look how excited she is. That's awesome that all the volunteers helped get him across the country. Yeah, super cute puppers. Alright, and now I have a video, a similar type story, but this is current. And I will try not to cry over this.
This ever again, I guarantee you. He had planned on.
So
you're never gonna see this. Never gonna see this ever again. I guarantee you.
Cat went missing 7 years ago.
Moving to Ohio, but he stopped his plans to stay here for over a year. Yeah. Looking for him. Unfortunately, he couldn't find his cat. He moved to Ohio. 7 years later, Gina, who's right here, is a local resident. She saw a cat on the side of the road, scanned the cat for a microchip, and it went back to Robert years later. And right now, the cat is in here. A 19-year-old cat is being reunited after 7 years.
Now, I figured the cat's reaction would be like, I don't care, dude, because that's the way cats are. The dude is clearly happy about getting his baby back. Yeah, the cat's like, eh.
Congratulations.
That's just Cat's personality.
I mean, when you got that call, was it Gina? Were you the one that called him? The microchip?
And then he called me back after probably talking to a couple people and was just in shock. And I'm like, yeah, this is really happening. And I'm like, where are you? And he said, Ohio.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
19 is a very old cat. It hugged him, though.
I don't think we've never had anything. I don't even know what to say.
Because, I mean, I'll go, like, film a movie for a few days and come back, and my cat's like, I've missed them. I come into the house, and they're like, yeah, we don't give a shit, dude. Why'd you come back? We were having fun just hanging out by ourselves, because that's just the way cats are.
Say.
It's a sweet looking baby, though.
So, anybody who's just joining us, I don't even know how to describe what's happening, but Robert here is being reunited with his cat, Shaban, after seven years. I can't even talk.
So this happened right before Thanksgiving. What's poppin', Carl?
He knows. He knows.
We're watching a guy get reunited with his cat after 7 years.
I'll tell you, I have never been so happy.
And I'm amazed that the cat looks very loving towards him.
Here's Daddy. We go. Ready?
You didn't seem like you liked that too much.
This is unbelievable. We're never really going to see anything like this.
I have a lot to be thankful for. I remember it was just a couple weeks ago before she called. I thought that there's going to be something special about this holiday season.
Yeah.
And,
and you got your little boy back.
No, the cat recognized his owner. That was a fun story. My cat's just knocked something over in the bedroom, so I'm probably going to have to go check out and see what that is. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm Justin Freakin. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.